We're here to say goodbye to the last of the classic battlefields that are being removed in this batch. That's right, we're here with Battlefield Bad Company 2. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So on December 8th, 2023, the servers for here have some health for your death. Sorry, the servers for Battlefield Bad Company 2, Bad Company 1, and 1943 are being closed. You'll still be able to play the single player if you own the game via digital or disc. Keep in mind you won't be able to buy the game anymore at all, and the multiplayer will completely cease to function. And it kind of marks the end of this experience, since I guess the new players won't be able to jump in and, kind of play it as readily available as it was. Basically, it'll just be the single player for those that want to dive in and enjoy what that has to offer. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you, because it is, something where a lot of this game to me was playing the multiplayer aspect of it, having a lot of fun with some great maps, and seeing sort of, I guess you would say, the refinement of the Battlefield series. This was, before we eventually got another kill assist, Battlefield 3, which, really changed things up for the series. But yeah, I'll always love the Bad Company franchise in particular, and always be disappointed that we didn't get any sort of closure and or, I don't know, continuation or conclusion to the actual story that was set up here. This one actually really cliffhangs pretty hard, where they're like, the Russians are invading through Canada, that it's just like nothing since. So that's the end of that one. Anyways, I thought we'd give the multiplayer one more whirl. I do have a stream that shows off a little bit more of it in action, and you know what, they have used some of these levels in like later Battlefield games, so I think this one will have a little bit longer legacy wise in regards to, these maps and these types of games, or the experiences within this game will kind of live on a little bit, I believe. I would love a remaster though, even if it was just like the campaigns and stuff upgraded. Maybe a little bit of a combined multiplayer would be really cool. But yeah, it is a bit of a shame to see this one go. I must say, like, this really felt like it got a lot more people into the Battlefield franchise, especially on console, and into the Bad Company series, which was a little wild. And I think we're doing, like, usually I used to just play Rush on this one. I can't believe that guy was like evading me like that. So it is a bit interesting to have, a different game mode on this that we're playing, as opposed to just doing Rush. It's a bit strange. So this one featured heavy levels of destruction, kind of like the first Bad Company. This one was using Frostbite 1.5, which was a shared element with Battlefield 1943, which was a digital offshoot, which was also, like I said, closing down at the same time as this one. So yeah, it's really interesting, actually, from, like a nostalgia standpoint, going back and taking a look at this one. Like, I think it holds up decently well. I mean, it's jaggedy around the edges, but like the destruction, the technology here, very, very cool at the time. More, destruction stuff than we even get in the modern Battlefield games, which is a bit crazy to me. Great rocket shot, man. That was actually pretty great. I'm a little bummed out that guy isn't dying, but, sucks to suck sometimes. So this came out in North America March 2nd, 2010, Australia on the 4th, Europe on the 5th, and Japan on the 11th. There was an iOS version of the game, which I actually did try. It was interesting, but very different. And I guess also Android and like Kindle's Fire or something on like June 20th, 2012, so you couldn't even really consider that the same game. But for iOS, it was like December 16th. And in 2010, again, it was kind of weird, right? Like, that's very, very strange. So the multiplayer was a continuation of what was set up with the first game, but obviously a little bit more, I would say, control scheme in line with the later Battlefields, custom classes, vehicles, shooting, destruction, large-scale multiplayer action as you were attempting to, gain points, take out enemies, And then there was like a healthy amount of like DLC in this one. There was the whole Vietnam expansion, which is like basically the only thing I'm missing achievements from on this one, I think, is the Vietnam stuff. Like, I actually have like a lot of the achievements. 2011 was the last time I got something in this one, and then right off the bat would have been like 2010. But I'm just missing like the Vietnam achievements, the gold and silver stars on those weapons, kill with all the Vietnam vehicles, tanks, and the Huey, and I'll never ever get those because, you know, I think there's not really any people doing the Vietnam campaign, or, well, it's not campaign, but multiplayer, and there's, I guess you could call it a campaign in Vietnam, but, like, you know, there's nobody really playing that, and then I'd have to grind quite a bit of it, and then the server's closing really, really soon. Like, this is basically the last time I'm going to play this one, which is so sad. Like, I'm assuming if backwards compatibility, because the magic of this one is, like, obviously, if you're on, like, because this came out on the PlayStation 3, 360, and PC. Like, PC players will probably find a way around it, as they always do. Which is great, honestly. It's really great. I wish they could do the same for the first Bad Company. And, you know, PS3, I'm assuming most moved on from that, like, a long, long time ago. But on Xbox, you know, this is still something people have been playing, because it's backwards compatible, right? So the Series X is what I'm playing it on, but also there was, like, you know, the Series S, and then there was the Xbox One, and, you know, like, it was available for multiple generations, and it's just kind of, like, sad. Like, I don't really get the point of it disappearing, almost, if that makes sense. Like, it's just, logically, to me, it's a bit strange, because, like, it's still a great game. You know, it's still a really, really good experience, and it's just, like, even if you took off the multiplayer, which I don't really, again, see the point of, it's, like, there's still people playing this. It's, like, why not allow, like, the campaign to still be something people could, like, buy and play and stuff like that? Like, it's just, it's weird to me. And yeah, you know, again, as I said, you can use the disc, and if you owned it digitally, you can keep playing it, but it just kind of, like, really removes this one kind of for no real reason that I can think of. It's just a bit strange, because it was very good. It was very well done. Class-based gameplay, something like over 15 vehicles, Conquest, Onslaught, which was like kind of a cooperative, like squad-based kind of thing. That one was neat. Rush, which is obviously, like I said, my big mode in these Battlefield Bad Company games, because you're like rushing to destroy. I think it was just like kind of points in the first game. There was a lot of emphasis on gold, which was in this game too, but yeah. Squad Deathmatch and Squad Rush, I remember those being things that some of my pals wanted to play a lot of, but I wasn't as into that, because I was always into the Rush game mode. I know obviously Conquest is like a huge staple here, but you know, that's kind of what I enjoyed. And then to talk about the multiplayer, kind of continue the events of the first one. Again, big thing about the core group getting their gold, and then, as I said, cliffhang. Really, really hard cliffhang. I'd love closure on that one. That was really genuinely surprising that it just kind of ended there. That is for sure. But yeah, I always really, really did love, you know, the playing this game multiplayer wise, and then, you know, campaign, playing with others. Like, I have a lot of great memories with friends. That's the whole kind of like swath of games they're getting rid of, are basically like, I guess you would say, almost, trying to think of the exact era, but my like teenage year Battlefields basically are all just kind of being vanished in one swoop. It's really weird to me, honestly, because it's just like, huh, this whole like chapter of my life is just kind of gonna be gone and not something I could revisit. Like, I guess, you know, once they open it up on the PC side of things, you know, it'll still always kind of be available there, I guess, when people, you know, kind of get that going. But yeah, as is like console-wise, I kind of, I don't know why, I just assumed I would always keep being able to like play this if I wanted to. Like, obviously I've moved on, I play other games more, like newer entries and stuff, but with the backwards compatibility, I just kind of assumed they would keep it rolling, because there isn't really much of a point in like getting rid of it, because it's, you know, obviously there's still people playing this stuff, and I don't know, it's just weird to me. It really is. It's genuinely weird. Is this building coming down? So like you always gotta be used or gotta be prepared for that in this game, where it's like, you know, the buildings falling down, which I always loved. I always loved the fact that you could like just level full buildings, because it changed like the geometry, the setup, the tactics, all that stuff. And, you know, a guy like hiding behind a wall or something, and it's just like, well, I'll destroy the wall and, you know, shoot him, and it was always awesome. It really was. It was always such a cool thing. And it's just like that magic of being able to destroy the environment just really isn't there in the new Battlefields. You know, if that's like a technology issue or something, but it was pretty sweet. I mean, this one did kind of move a little bit more away from destruction to a degree, but it also had more large-scale like set pieces, if that makes sense. Like, don't know how to describe it. Like the first game, you could level, I think it was like 90% of the environment, and on this one, you can only like it's definitely not to that level, I don't think, but you can blow up quite a bit of things. You could still like level buildings, and it's just like a creatively different way to, you know, interact and kind of battle with others. And you can certainly with this one see them setting up the foundation for Battlefield 3, which was, you know, kind of the big one, and then 4, and then they're just like, who needs the Bad Company series, right? Which is such a shame because these games were so cool. But I think they always kind of, at least for me, felt like the console Battlefield games specifically for that, and now we've moved on to more, you know, like agnostic kind of games that work everywhere, basically, in the modern era, at least a lot more than, you know, in the past. So that was always cool. This feels so much like, okay, for Conquest, like, I don't mind Conquest, but like, it just feels so random compared to like Rush, where you're actually like progressing or pushing forward or putting bodies on things to get stuff done. It's always such a strange kind of move for this one. But I think this game too, they really got the control scheme down packed. Like, I'm coming off of, you know, Bad Company 1, and just the difference, I would say, is that a guy over there? It is. Sorry, it's so jaggedy around the edges of this thing. Yeah, so it's like coming off of Bad Company 1, it's just like the control scheme feels a lot more close to what we have in the modern era. Because it's like they were still kind of figuring out controls to some degree. And today, you know, everything's like pretty streamlined for a shooter. You jump in, it's like about the same for each of them, right? Which makes logical sense, because, you know, obviously you create a standard after so many years of trying out different things and being like, well, this makes the most sense. And yeah, it's neat. Like, this is a cool game still. I really wish they would remaster these. I hope that happens at some point. I know that's not really a thing that DICE does, because I know, what was it, 1943 was kind of, but it was its own thing still. But yeah, it would be really cool to see this one kind of made available. Like, if they could do like a combo pack, that would be, like, in my ideal dreams, they do a remastered pack of, you know, Bad Company 1 and 2, the campaigns together, you know, just literally up resolution scale would be, you know, just like bop up the quality of it, you know, have it running fluidly, and then like a combination of multiplayer would be pretty sweet. But I don't think they'll ever do that because, you know, they just keep doing new ones and stuff, and they just move forward. It's not really a franchise that leans into nostalgia outside of the idea of, you know, reusing maps and like levels occasionally. Like, I guess there was the attempt with the Battlefield Portal in 2042, but even that itself I don't think took off too much, because this map is actually is part of that Portal effort. This guy's got a lot of bullets. A lot of bullets. I just can't believe this is like literally like the end of me playing this game. As you think back to when you first get a game, this might be harder to understand too for someone that's like maybe a bit younger and stuff, but like I'm not even necessarily that old, but I'm definitely getting there. And when you play something for the first time, and then you play something for basically the last time, like a lot of the time when you play a game, and you keep playing a game, especially a multiplayer game, you just keep having fun, and then a new one comes out, and you just kind of move on, and you don't really think about being, it being the last time you play something. And it's not till like years and years later where they put out a notice where they're like, hey, this game's going away forever, and you're like, oh wow. And then it just kind of hits you that it's like, I remember when I first got something. You don't remember when you kind of stop playing something, and then you just remember sort of the end of something. And it's just almost a little tragic for these Battlefields. I really genuinely did love these games. We had so much fun fighting on these different maps, and yeah, they were really genuinely great times. Why is this guy just going in a circle? That's so weird. Like, I think they really did offer something so unique at the time. It was like a nice shooter. Like, we really did have some good shooters in this era. We really genuinely did. And why won't they go and give me closure on what happens in the story? All I wanted was a Bad Company 3 where we get to see Canada getting attacked, or, well, not really attacked, but the Russians attacking through Canada. We could have got some cool Canadian levels. It would have been awesome. I also would have really loved to know, like, what happens to these characters, and it's just random, right? Because I feel like I'm in this, like, niche part of, like, Battlefield. I don't know if fandom is the right word, but, you know, those that enjoy the Battlefields, like, I'm part of this, like, niche group of them that, like, love this, like, particular era of Battlefield the most. And, it's, like, all but forgotten. It's alright, I kept throwing health at you as if that was going to bring you back from the grave. Somehow my defibs do, but that just works in Battlefield logic, right? What a great game. Like, technically, it's really, really impressive. It's even quite a bit of a visual kind of, like, improvement over Bad Company 1, which is interesting. I mean, she's rough around the edges, super jagged and stuff, but, like, still really enjoyable effort. Having so much fun, like, revisiting this, honestly. It's just been kind of a blast. I think people could enjoy this today if they gave it a try, but most probably won't because they're just on either the newer Battlefield or they're playing something other than Battlefield at this point, right? But it's fun to do these, like, nostalgia pieces. At least they gave us, like, a bit of a heads up, I guess, is the biggest thing, is, like, at least we kind of knew and were able to play a bit of it, I guess. I didn't necessarily plan to play as much as I have been, but I thought it was kind of a neat thing. What am I doing with my shots? Like, you know these are real players, and it's like, the guy's, like, moving like a bot. I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But yeah, like, as I said, like, Conquest was never my jam. It was always Rush, so this is just, like, it's a little bizarre for me to be doing this, honestly. Gotta get used to, like, the reloading. I guess I could have stabbed and assassinated that guy and took the dog tags. That was a big part of things. I remember this one was a little bit more serious, too. Which I guess maybe worked out in its favor, because it was more popular, but then with the PC version, too. But, like, yeah, you know, they kind of... The smiley grenades, I think, are kind of there, but it's not as present, right? Like, I think you can kind of see, like, the smiley on the tank, but it still had the humor in the campaign, but I think the multiplayer definitely was a lot more serious of a setup, which worked in its favor, and I think this one has pretty good longevity to it, even compared to Bad Company, which is, like, the first Bad Company, which is a shame, because that one's really, really great. Like, it's like a brand within a brand, if that makes sense. It's such a distinct aura and, like, sense of its own within a franchise, which is neat. Most people nowadays won't even know what this is or what these games were, and that's just a big shame, because they were really cool games. They really brought something distinct to the table, and then they're just kind of, like, going away forever to be forgotten. Which makes me sad, but at least I'm here to remember the good times before the end of it all. You just sniping back there. Oh, always the snipers causing problems. Anyways, it was a blast to go back into Bad Company. 2. It'll be missed.